Hello and welcome to this week's Spotlight interview, where I am so thrilled to be joined by the most fabulous, kind-hearted and energetic lady I think I happen to know and happen to have met, the gorgeous Sandra. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. How is it this afternoon? I was thinking this morning.
I hear you. It's been one of those Mondays, not just for all of you in England, also for us. I mean, I'm neither English nor Italian, even though I have relatives in both countries. But with us being 1 hour ahead, the final result did not come for us until midnight. But I just had to watch. I just had to. But it did mean, as I'm just an empath, and I could sense the emotion of everybody involved, both teams, the audience. It was a big thing, even if it was not my country. So I could not sleep because of all the excitement of it all. Yeah.
But you are not an avid football TV watcher by trade. So tell us, Sandra, about you and what it is you do. Introduce yourself.
What it is that I do many things. I'm a corporate lawyer by trade, and I have been in a 9 to 5 for the longest until I met you, Skye, and we'll discuss that later, no doubt. I'm now on a legal project on a contract base. Other than that, I've written and published a book last year, and I'm now also venturing into something very new, which for now has the working title Story Auditor, in which I will help small business owners to derive the sort of perfect amount of their personal story into their business, which shows how unique they are without them feeling that they need to bear it all at all times. So that's what I'm working towards this year.
Oh, fantastic. And it's the first time I've heard you articulate it like that, Sandra, because I know it is a new venture that you're going into, but yes. I can see with your experience and having had the privilege to know you for a few years that how your skill set's going to be amazing at that. I mean, you put your heart and soul into your own book, your own story. That must have been quite a process for you. Tell us about what drew you to writing your book.
Well, for the longest time, the thought that my story might aid others kept coming to the surface, either in my own mind or people telling me, if you would tell what happened to you, it might help others. But it's not the easiest story to share. No. My book shows the life that I had with 3 types of toxic men, one being a womanizer, the other a full-blown abuser, abuse on so many levels, and the latest, an addict. And those were not easy relationships. And going back there to jot all the memories down, so to speak, has not been an easy journey. But I must say it's been a very worthwhile journey. I published it last September. And whenever I speak about it, or whenever I encounter people who read it, they all say to me that it opened their eyes in some shape or form, either about their story or the story of a loved one. And that I can see things in perspective, and that they hope that they will see the signs earlier if it were to happen to them or people that they know. And you've been through a book writing journey yourself, Skye, and I know that it was quite a thing for you as well. But I always told you the moment the first comment comes in, when someone says, "This helped me so much," it will be worth all the sleepless nights, the extra work on top of everything else that we're doing, the overcoming the thought that nobody would want to read it, all those limited beliefs. And it has been the case for me, as it has been for you. So for anyone listening to this, if you feel at some point that your story is worth sharing to a larger audience, do explore it. Do not push it aside like, I could never do that. I could never write it. nobody will ever care, because there is a solution to any of those ideas. Because the world needs stories by brave people, women especially, to empower others on their journey. So if you're thinking about it, please explore.
Beautifully said. And honestly, you've given me goosebumps and really felt quite emotional hearing that. One of the things my aim with these spotlight session is really to bring out moments of inspiration for people watching this, either live or on replay, to see those kind of moments in your life where you've like stepped up to the plate and what I would say is stepped up as a leader and chosen to lead. And you talked about needing to be brave. And when I think about your leadership journey, Sandra, and I think we always evolve to be leaders, so we're on that continuing journey. But the word courageous always comes out. From knowing you and knowing your story, I just see you as a very courageous person. And one of the things that I know, a huge piece of courage that's taken recently, is leaving that safety net of the safety net being walked away from and deciding you were more important than the 4 laptops and the 4 phones and everything else you had going on in your world. So could you take me back to like this time last year or whatever, a more recent moment of when I know you were trying to be all things to all people? And yeah, tell us about that moment of, I use the word courage, you might talk something else, but bravery, courage, where you decided to lead a different path.
Absolutely. So I entered into the first lockdown, basically being shut out of a project that I had taken on with a former colleague, who I also considered a very dear friend. I would say family. I would have trusted him with my life, with my son's life, with basically all I can think of. And in the project, it turned out that by sheer greed or whatever other reason that we never got to discuss, he brought me into serious danger from a legal perspective. I'm a compliance officer, so I come into an organization and tell them whether they comply with laws and legislation. And I had seen so many things, almost going wrong, that I kept giving warning signs. And just as I thought this is the day that I will resign, and I sent him an early morning, the Dutch fraud court entered the organization. And it turned out that what I had been sensing, a lot of people and organizations had been sensing. I turned into their prime witness. It could also have gone a very different route, as I obviously was in the organization. They did honor my contract in a way that they paid me until the end of April last year. But I was just trying to make sense of this kind of betrayal. In the book, you would see that a lot of romantic men, so to speak, had betrayed me. I had never expected for a friend to do so. So here I am, trying to deal with this. Lockdown hits, homeschooling starts, and the end of the contract, the end of payments, is coming. And legal projects for contractors were drying up because a lot of organizations did not know where this was going. Mm-hmm. And then I was offered a job, another 9 to 5, which I did not wish to have. But obviously, with a mortgage to pay and a family to feed, I figured I'd go for it.
And you were moving house when it was all in a house move and everything. You had everything going on.
I had so much going on. And I must say, at the first interview I had with my manager, which obviously was through Teams or Zoom, because we already were not going to the office anymore, I could sense that he had toxic traits that I'd best stay away from. But I told the recruiter, I said, I don't think it's going to work. He said, yeah, but there's so many others in the organization you should speak to, and maybe they're nice, and we'll see. And I did. And I thought, okay, how bad can it be? Especially given the fact that I'm not working in the office. It could be very bad. Because whether someone is sitting truly across you or across you in a Zoom or Teams, the energy is the same. The way that toxic guys act, whether they're in a private or a personal setting, does not change. So even before I started the job, I was having anxiety attacks every morning working towards it, because my gut feeling had been right the first time round. I did like working with the other colleagues, but this guy just kept creeping up on me day and night. And then I thought, okay, let's go on holiday, see how it all goes. Came back from holiday, indeed found the perfect house. Thought, okay, let's go for the house. And I kept sort of shying away from the fact that this was not a sustainable situation until somewhere mid-November. I end up in a huge argument, both with that manager and his manager of teams, because they really let me down, and even tried to make me responsible for something A, not very important, and B, absolutely not my fault. So in that conversation, I basically let it all out. And I said, I'm telling these two fellas, I said, I do not appreciate to be slapped in the face like this. And they were like, that had never happened. I'd spoken to many people within the organization. Everybody was experiencing the same treatment, but nobody dared to speak up, because it was a sort of golden cage. They'd given me a permanent contract instantly. It was a good salary, a pension, the works. So a lot of them were just, okay, it's nice to be, it's a good job, let's stay here. And I was just looking at me like, and I hang up that Teams conversation, and then my mom's neighbor calls me that my mom had been robbed in her own house, like an hour before. Now, this combined made me turn in sick the next morning and declare myself burnout, so to speak. Then we enter into a burnout recovery program, in which I end up fighting with the manager on the way that I should report to him about my progress. And then I realized, even though in the Netherlands there is a sort of sick pay regulation that could have seen me working a few hours per week only for like 2 years, I realized that those few hours a week would really do me. And which is very rare, which hardly ever happens in such a situation, I turned in my notice. Because in the meantime, I had sort of spotted 1 or 2 projects that I was interested in. And this is where Skye found me, sort of in February of this year. I've been working with Skye for quite a while already. And every Monday we have a what are we working on this week accountability touch-up. Then I said that I had 4 things going on 4 laptops.
Yeah, 4 laptops, 4 things, and I was like, no wonder you're telling me you don't have any time. And I could sense the pressure. You were like a shadow of your.
Yeah, and it was in the middle of the actual house move into the new house.
Yeah.
And then Skye said, stop it. I want you to really think, what matters most. This is not a sustainable way for you to go. Because I said, if only for a week, or if only for a day. She said, I've known you for so long now. Today, you are going to make a decision. So I turned in my notice to the day job, did away with 1 of the projects, kept 1 project, and the 4th laptop is my own, in which I work on my book and related business matters. So within a day, guided by Skye, I went from 4 to 2 laptops, and I could not be happier.
I could just really see. So I'm really fortunate, as I sort of said at the start, that I'd had interactions. I had met you in person as well, and I knew Sandra, the kind of sparkly Sandra, and the Sandra with energy. And then all of a sudden, it was like a Hoover had sucked some of your life. And and I get it. Like, I see this a lot with clients who are overwhelming themselves, trying to be all things to everyone, who are trying to make things perfect, who want to care about homeschooling and caring for the mother, and that burden of responsibility, and wanting to do a great job, and wanting to and should be doing the business, and should be showing up more on social media, and all this pressure. and your resilience being so high, but yet this Hoover like sucking the energy from you that was draining your personality, your sparkle, your, I remember like even physically, I'm sorry,
I know.
you physically pale and like just not you. And I remember just being sat there and like in tears. Maybe it wasn't the same at the same call, but maybe a week or two later, but just being sat there in tears. And I'm thinking, wow, what, this is such a difference in Sandra. And yeah, so that moment you did something different, you took action, you did that brave, courageous step. As I said, you decided to make things better.
Yeah.
Tell me about like how that journey's gone since that point.
Since that point, I am still doing the contract work for the bank. They've asked me to prolong the contract until end of the year. I'm now moving into a more mentoring role there, which I think is a tad odd because I've only been there for 6 months, but obviously my manager sees this in me, and I love to guide newbies, even though I still consider myself rather new. Not in the field of compliance, but at this particular bank, obviously. But that is great fun. This project keeps me energized. It's a great team to be part of. We still work obviously online, but I've met them last Thursday at a dinner. It was fun. What I'm doing really stimulates me still intellectually. It's not a oh my god, because with the other project and with my day job, when I looked at the laptop, I could just puke. I just could not open it. I just could not face it, which was unlike me. But it came to a point I was like, no, please don't ask me anything. And here, obviously, we all have days. I mean, we're experiencing proper Dutch weather, which is similar to your weather over the last few weeks. But we all have days where the sun is out and you would want to do something other than the work that you're committed to, whatever shape or form that is. But in general, every day I have fun, and that energy I bring to my own business ventures. So it sort of intertwines. But I do have a lot going on because I'm doing all of this now with a house renovation in place. Yes, you do. And I realized last week that I had not scheduled enough sort of emergency time. My schedule was so filled with a bit of book relaunch, a bit of story audit build up, contract work, house reno, and it was a bit of everything every day. And last week I realized this is not the way to go. How can I mend this? And then, obviously, working with Skye, I have access to her way of thinking, her knowledge base, her systems. And I went there and I realized I forgot to batch things. And with just a little tweak, I now have like 4 days dedicated to the contract work, 1 day for the story order to evolve, and then that takes less of my time, half a day for content towards the book relaunch. That leaves a lot more breathing space for emergencies because I've got an 11-year-old who, like myself, is very active but also very sensitive. So he does end up in situations like, for instance, at school, like what happened last Wednesday. I calculated to work for the bank all day, and I get a call from school, and obviously, for your child, you drop everything. But it was very hard for me to catch up on that week, it being, also house reno stuff. And then I realized I need more breathing space. Which the good thing is, if there's breathing space in the schedule, either something comes up, or if nothing comes up, I could just sit and relax.
Yeah.
So it's either a something comes up moment or a let's relax moment.
Yeah. Breathing space in the schedule. I think we could all have that reminder that is required. Contingency, other people call it contingency planning, allowing that extra time, but I completely agree. And I remember also one of the things you were saying is like, right, well, when I'm doing these projects, I can't necessarily outsource stuff that's my job, but I can outsource other things. So I can bring in that dog walker. I can bring in the cleaner. I can get help with moving. You know, there were certain things you did at home that
Yes.
allowed you to take some of that responsibility of trying to be super mom.
We all try to be, I think, women way more than men. Try to be it all. My mom is 93, and she's basically always been a stay-at-home mom. Also, when I was little, she had me when she was 42. So even though she highly stimulated me to, get a proper education, get a proper job, I think that goes for a lot of women of my generation, but even younger. I'm 51 now. It was not like, instead of everything at home, we were now going to have a career. No, we were going to have that career, but also do everything at home. Because there was this one, I don't know whether it was a quote or meme or whatever that I saw, that a 40-hour work week was not designed for women like us. It was just the guys going out to work, 9 to 5, coming back home, where a lady would have taken care of everything, which is a job in itself, at home and with the children.
Mm-hmm.
But now, with us also venturing out into, working outside the house, even if you're inside it whilst you're doing that, for 40 hours a week, who does the other stuff? Well, we've all seen, and I think it's the same in England as it is in the Netherlands, as it is in many countries, it's the women who still basically do all of that. Mm. And we're all trying to be very emancipated about it. But in the majority of households that I know, even with the high achieving, successful career women, unless they outsource, which more of them dare to do now, they do it all. Mm. And I now find myself in a situation that I would love for more stuff to be done at home. But there is no use to bring in a cleaner in a house that is in renovation. No. I mean, so even though the odd thing is I would need it most now, but there is no use. No. But obviously that's on the agenda for once the house reno is over, to have more help even in the house. So I've outsourced many things, and there is even more to outsource, because I think most of us maybe underestimate our income earning power. Because you would think, oh, but it's going to cost me. No, but in that particular hour, you can earn usually more than the service would cost you.
Absolutely.
And other than the money, just take pride in that what you do, which is not related to the house. I'm not saying that if you are a absolute, wonderful, almost master chef, that you should not cook. If that at the end of the day gives you so much joy, by all means, there is nothing in a household situation that I would ever look down on. No. Ever. If like I'm doing now, thinking, okay, I can't go to the gym, but let's, do the bathroom really well this week, that is absolutely fine. It's not like, oh my gosh, if you do housework, no, none of that. But if you would truly look, and that's what we also do with you, Skye, we look at our earning potential as opposed to what services would cost us, ranging from the dog walker to the virtual assistant. Usually, if we do the math, if we fill out the Excel sheet that you give us, we see the potential. Because other than the money, it gives you so much joy, focusing on what you do, and it leaves you time to think of your business in a broader sense, to step up as the leader that you were referring to. That you are not just, as some people think, especially when you work from home, oh, you didn't work from home. You're not just doing what you're doing, you stepping up more as a leader will aid the women business community as a whole.
I love that, Sandra. I love it. And that's the principle of what Time to Lead is based on. The whole idea is up leveling, like, and
Yeah.
I have had men through it as well. So it's
Yeah.
not just for women, but majority is. And it's all about how do we play to our strengths? How do we create a life where we don't come at the bottom where our needs are put last rather
Yeah.
than higher up the chain? I even say first, so that we are in a good place to be an amazing business owner, to be an amazing mother, to be an
Yeah.
amazing partner, sister, friend, carer, whatever it is that's important to you. And you're so right. You know, sometimes there's nothing more satisfying than deep cleaning the fridge and sorting everything out, which I did on
Yeah.
Friday. But I just don't want to be tied to it every week. So, you know, it's
Exactly.
about choice. You have the freedom to
Yes.
choose. And what I hate is when any of us feel like we are chained to something. You know, people used to say in the 1950s, like chained to the sink. I don't think it's
Yeah.
near like that in the moment, but we still have this chain that's perhaps like guilt or shoulds or like maybe shame
Yeah.
that's with a lot of us who feel like we should be better at this, or we should do this perfectly, or we should take 101 things on. No, we can create the life and the role we want to have. And
Yeah.
that's where I saw you really take the choice and go, okay, this job is not working for me. I need to make a change. And yes, it's
Yeah.
kind of that saying that I help with that, but it was about you deciding I'm going to do this differently, stepping up, having what I call, sorry if anyone's listening to it doesn't like swearing, that fuck it moment where you're like, fuck it, I got to do something different here. Come on. And you did. And I see you happier for it, and I see you smiling for it, and I'm
Yeah,
thrilled. And I know this is just the start of your journey.
yeah, but do not underestimate what your tough love has done, and also the strength of the community within Time to Lead. Because it's way, now I wouldn't say easier, but yeah, I would say it, you know what I mean. It's not easier to make such a big decision, but if you know that you have a mentor who supports you and a group who truly gets it,
They do.
because in most of our regular lives, we're still surrounded by people uh, working a standard 9 to 5. And I will never ever look down on that, because the one thing that I hate about a lot of the online world is putting shame on people who have a job. A lot of us within Time to Lead have either a job or are transitioning out of a job or do a part-time job or part-time contract work whilst building on the business. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are surrounded by people, none of them who are also building a business, be it online or not, they do not get your way of thinking. They're like, you have a great job. It's like the golden gate. It's like the security. Notwithstanding that, you know, we've all seen big companies go bust. We've all seen what COVID has done to a lot of sectors in the economy. But it's still that idea of a job security, a job nothing to worry about, a job it's glorified. And that's what I love about Time to Lead. We either are all there or we have all been there making that transition. And we get each other. We get how hard it is. We get how satisfying it can be. Um, and you just feel understood. And I think that is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've really noticed through you, like, and this is a credit to how you show up on the calls, but you prepared to be vulnerable, you're prepared to be honest, and that's my biggest pride in the community that I create. And I believe because I role model this very much about sharing those low moments as well as the highs, and being totally brutally honest about things that are very challenging and difficult,
Yeah.
and being no different to anyone else in that community. And the way that for other people like yourself can openly share about things, and at times it does get emotional, but we can see like we're not alone in this. We're not alone.
Exactly.
And I adore having you as part of that community, so thank you. Could
And
I
I,
ask anyone who is sort of on the fence about Time to Lead, maybe they're like, oh, but I'm already in my business, I'm not, like, I've already made that transition, like, how would you describe, or what advice would you give to someone who was on the fence about Time to Lead?
well, obviously, you know, I'm a believer. But not just a believer, I'm also a doer. And I've been working with a number of mentors and in a number of groups over the years. And this is the one group in which I am 100% open about what's going on, and which I did 100% vulnerable. Um, but it's not just the support; it's support within a system that gives so much. They give you so much insight, not just by feeling. No, the way that you have set up Time to Lead, the modules that you go through. It teaches you about yourself. It teaches you about how you go about your business now. It teaches you about where you would want to go. It teaches you about systems to get there. So for me, it's a perfect combination of the warmth of the support and the, because I'm a very logical person as well as a lawyer, but truly the pool of wisdom combined, because there's many mentors who offer the one or the other, very much the business systems and strategy, or very much the support. And this is a unique combination. Mm-hmm. And even it does not matter where you are in your business. Because you said it's all about uplifting, and people are going through so many stages. And so far, I've not seen anyone saying, well, now I'm at a level that I don't need this anymore. Because there's always more to learn, because it begins with, how do you view your business when you're just basically you? How can you, at a smaller scale, start to put systems in place and outsource tasks so you can focus more on who you are, up to people now employing full-time staff. And how would you manage that? Or, which goes for the most of us, find the perfect manager to take on that part, because you do what you do, but it doesn't necessarily make you the best manager of a team. That's a big mistake that we see in corporate. Because you do something well, they make you the manager of a team, and everybody is unhappy. And you teach it, you do something well, you start to outsource. Then all of a sudden you realize that you need a bigger team, but are you the best person to manage it on a day-to-day basis? We're not speaking about the big vision, because obviously it is your business, that's what you're there for. Or could you do with a right-hand man or woman who takes on so many of those tasks? So you keep doing what you want to do, build the business to make your vision become even bigger reality. So there is no business too small or a business too big to benefit from the teachings and the support within Time to Lead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you've beautifully capped. It's only something I've really recently started talking about more, because I'm known for the very practical, want to double your business, what are the practical things to make the most of your time? What should I be doing? What should someone else be doing? How do you make all that stuff work? But what I kept seeing was a load of inner stuff that people were like, oh, I know the steps now, but I'm frightened, I'm scared, I feel like I should be doing this. And so where we go is a combination of that practical leadership requirements and also the inner leadership requirements. And that is what my greatest privilege is, seeing people like yourself go from, well, obviously I didn't like seeing anyone in a place where you're on the edge or burning out completely, through to bringing your sparkle back, that fire, that orange fire we're bringing today, glowing bright. And that is a total, it's been a total privilege, and I adore working with you. Sandra, those people who would love to know about story or auditing and the new venture, or want to understand more about your book or buy a copy of your book, how do people come and find you?
I have a Facebook business page, which is the same title as my book, Do Not Try Him at Home, which is also available on Amazon. I still donate £1 of every sale to Women's Aid. I'm a spokesperson for them. For the story audit, also keep tuning in to the business page. I'll share more about that as we progress through the year. But basically, it will be me going with someone through their story. And also, there are women like myself who've been through something traumatic, who are wondering whether it would be too scary or difficult to share about that in their business. But I'm also talking to a lot of people who say, no, I don't have a story. I don't have a trauma. I don't have this or that. I'm too boring. Nobody is too boring to brand. Nobody is too boring to brand, because if we're at a point that I will speak to you, you're at least thinking of transitioning into a business. in whatever shape or form, bringing about a transformation. There is always something in your story. To you, it might seem insignificant, but that ultimately leads you to where you're going to go. So do not feel like, oh, I don't have a trauma. I can't do this. Everybody can share a bit of their story. So what we'll do, we'll source the story, and we'll make sure it works into your offering. If you already have existing offers or an existing sales funnel, I will guide you through that to see how that could be more persuasive by adding your personal story there too. Because I would really wish for people to dare to show their uniqueness, because that is what makes that was truly, there are a lot of coaches, a lot of therapists, a lot of whatever it is, but there is something about you that people tap into. Now, dare to shine a light on it, dare to make that bigger. You owe it to yourself and to the people.
I love that. I love that. And vision, the visual that I've got in my mind of you with a spotlight, making that person really stand out and stand in their story. I think it's so important, and I can resonate with a lot of what you've just said. So I know it's going to be very, very popular offering, and I can't wait to hear more about it once it's all finalized. But yes. I'm going to be drawing this conversation to a close, Sandra. If there's one top tip you could give someone who feel like they want to step up in their business but are just frightened, what might you give someone as like a leaving thought for them?
Do not overthink the steps, because we can all take it one step at a time. And do not underestimate your ability to step into that journey. And if you have doubt on either, talk to Skye. And if you have doubt if Time to Lead is for you, feel free to contact me.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime.
I'm writing that down, so I'm going to quote that. I love that. Underestimate your ability. Beautiful. And on that note, thank you so much for people who've joined us. Do let us know if you're watching this on replay what your top takeaway is from the Spotlight session. Sandra, so appreciate you joining me today. Thank you. It's been an absolute privilege. And of course,
it's been a joy.
We continue to work together in my community.
We shall.
The Spotlight soon.